My name is Sharif Bey. I am an African-American artist from Pittsburgh. I'm a proud potter and sculptor and ceramist, but I also work in glass and sometimes metal. I started making art, I don't know if I can even pinpoint a beginning because I started in school, but maybe I would even argue that it's from before then. I come from an art-making family. At a certain point, a lot of people in my family were leaving school early and joining the unions, and so the idea that making art could lead you to anywhere other than a pastime was not really something people thought about. But when I think about those aspects of our history that are, that's a commoner or a domestic worker or a laborer, their labor that is, maybe not from a status point valued. It's not marginal because it's essential. I'm simply trying to bring attention to the other narratives and how valuable they are to the larger historical picture. Domestic labor became a part of the focus of this series, and I love the opportunity to explore and emphasize different kinds of crossroads in my work. So I'm not the authority on Central African power figures, but there's something about those gestures that I find pertinent to my experience at this time. Some literature I found said, the impaling of this object was, imbuing it with power. And I later learned that the piercing of metal, of wood, nails, into these figurative works, was in itself a testament. So to take an object that I've impaled, 100 times or 200 times, what does it mean to invest that kind of physical energy, but also emotional energy into a piece? I'm creating company in my studio. And when I bring those things into my space and they evolve, I want them to evolve in a way that reverberates with power, visual power, inexplicable power. And that inexplicable power is what taps into these different times and spaces and places and people. For this series, I have, a monolithic kind of head form, and then I have very specifically placed, almost like braids in my mind. These nails were very geometrically composed, and then we have a few hundred beads, that are, playing on color and form in various patterns throughout the piece. And then later incorporating that which I would consider a crown that has these illuminant and translucent qualities that only glass could bring to the conversation. This spoon, in this case, is a symbol of domestic work. I want that object to be revered. Just recognizing that role and its importance to our sustenance. In the case of the domestic queen, she has the integrity, she has the elegance, she has the grace, but somebody denied her of her status. I'm endeavoring to, return that. The power's already there. I'm not giving her the power. This is a presentation of something that's already in existence. I don't need to convince anyone of its beauty and value. I just need to shed light on it.